Telepathy.
Telepathy.
Your favorite podcast on the internet.
With Enzo Antonio and Anna Catherine. Hey guys, welcome back to Telepathy. You may be asking, who are you and what did you do with my favorite co-host of Telepathy? And I totally understand that's such a valid question. So Enzo has decided to step away from the podcast. So I'm your solo co-host now. No, I'm just kidding. Enzo is currently in Austin, Texas, literally moving in to college. Like, that's crazy. We tried to kind of figure out a time to record together, and it just got too busy with like packing for college and all that. So Enzo's literally moving in as we speak at UT Austin. So anyways, I thought that today we could do a solo episode because a long while back Enzo did a solo episode. I don't even remember what it was about, but this was like maybe even 2 years ago. So yeah, instead of leaving you guys in a telepathy drought for a week, I figured why not force you to listen to me talk by myself for 30 to 40 minutes. So I hope you enjoy. Today we're going to be doing a pretty interesting episode. I think something that feels very me, something that I can talk about very much in depth, which is like putting yourself out there and kind of like a mixture of like being an introvert, being an extrovert, putting yourself out there, how to be more confident, blah, blah, blah. Because I feel like this is a major storyline that has taken place throughout my life. And I'm just now kind of like able to look back and see the full picture of just like becoming a more confident person and such. So, without further ado, let's get into the icebreakers and camp question before we, get into the real episode. So this is kind of awkward. Like, do I just lead the camp question by myself? I don't know. I probably should have listened to Enzo's solo episode before doing it myself, but alas. Name, age, and what is your hyperfixation drink right now? We did do an episode like a year ago on hyperfixations with my friend Maggie. And that was a fun one because we all have our little hyperfixation things from time to time. So my name's Anna, if you didn't already know. I'm 22. I'm turning 23 in like a month, so that's exciting, but also like I won't ever be 22 again, which is crazy because like it's nice being in a year where I can relate to the exact lyrics of a Taylor Swift song. I don't remember what song has the age 23 in it, but it's just not as iconic as 22. You know what I mean? Also, just saying, this is a side note. I'm going to go on lots of side notes and tangents right now because it is a podcast and it relates to what I was just about to say, so it makes sense. But it's kind of fun recording a podcast by myself because it's not like a YouTube video where I have to like really think about what I'm saying and like restart saying things, because this is just like one take. Like you just go while you go. It's a conversation, so you don't have to like edit out stuff. So I'm just having a really great time being an absolute train wreck and going on many different tangents in this podcast so far in what has already been like 5 minutes of this episode. Anyways, hyperfixation drink. I have been drinking yerba mates this week. On Monday, I believe, or Tuesday night, I was listening to a Huberman Lab podcast, because I was just being very distracted and I was like, I need to get my life together. And in the episode, he mentioned that yerba mate is like a really good type of caffeine to consume because I believe he said it like traps your dopamine in a like peak spot, and you don't get the withdrawals from other dopamine withdrawals, I believe. So it's like you get the caffeine without the crash. And I was like, that sounds really great. And I'm not really a caffeine drinker. I drink tea in the mornings, which does have caffeine, but like not that much. But I was like, I should try this because I mean, I've had a yerba mate like once or twice in the past, but I was like, I should test to see how these work for my productivity because I'm not as I said, I'm not a caffeine drinker, and that's like good because I'm not addicted to caffeine. But at the same time, I feel like I needed a little spike to like keep me motivated at work. And this is a really healthy type of caffeine apparently because it something about dopamine, whatever, I'm not a scientist, but all I know is that it's been pretty good. Although I have been like not able to fall asleep very easily the past few nights. But that could be for a variety of other reasons. So I'm not going to blame it on the yerba mate just yet, but highly recommend. I think my favorite is the peach flavor. I accidentally got a sparkling kind, which I was kind of like, oh, why did I accidentally do that? But it's very good. It tastes like, it actually could be poppy. Like this could be poppy. So I approve of the sparkling flavor. Anyways, music shout out. A week ago, Audrey Hobart released her debut album, and she's, if you haven't heard of her, she's a kind of upcoming pop. I'm not gonna say indie pop. She's like an up and coming pop person. She's friends with Gracie Abrams. She is in fact a nepo baby, which I was a bit dismayed to find out, but it's okay. It happens to the best of us. So she released her album, and it's I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a Gracie Abrams fan like at all, but she's like, if in my opinion, if Gracie Abrams was good. So highly recommending the songs Silver Jubilee and Phoebe from the album Who's the Clown, which came out a week ago. Honestly though, like all the songs are, this is like a 10 out of 10 album, like no skips. So highly recommend. Movie TV shout out. I don't think I've seen any movies in the past week. I'm going to see Singing in the Rain tonight at a movie theater near me, like an independent movie theater, because I'm just like, I'm so not like other girls. Still been watching Sex in the City, which has been good. Yeah, no new updates. Also, though, I need to let you know, we do have a playlist called the Telepathy Playlist if you want to listen to any of the songs that we shout out, or if you're just like, oh, I miss Enzo so much. I wish that I could just listen to all those songs that Enzo has shouted out through the entirety of Telepathy's run on the internet. If you'd like to find this playlist, you can go to our Instagram at the Telepathy Pod, click the highlight section titled Playlist, where there's a link to our Spotify playlist with all these songs. I'm such a pro at saying this, guys. Every week without fail, just shouting out the playlist. I feel like I have my own talk show right now. Like, this is really strange. I'm enjoying it, but it makes me grateful for Enzo because I don't think I would last very long on a podcast hosted by purely myself. Like, I think podcasts are more fun when there's someone to bounce off of. Maybe if I had guests, like if I was like a Jake Shane type where I had guests every week, but like I could never just host a podcast by myself. Shall we get into the topic for today? Yes, we shall. Okay. So, episode 103, putting yourself out there. Okay. So like background, I guess, we always start with the background on telepathy. Have to trace the problem to its roots and such. Basically, if you could not tell from how strange I've been acting in this episode already, I think it's because of the yerba mate and just the fear and nerves that I'm currently having without Enzo to support anything that I'm saying. But if you could not tell, I am an introvert? ? I actually don't know. I grew up as an introvert. That's the true fact. I think I'm more of an ambivert now. We'll get into that a little bit later. But as a background, I grew up as the quiet kid. Like, everybody knew me as like the quiet person. And I was always like, I think I was always, my teachers in class, like in elementary school, I think I was always like the favorite student. But I think it's simply because I just actually listened and paid attention and didn't goof off like everyone else. Like, I was just like, I'm here for school, let's just pay attention. So that's probably why I was every teacher's favorite. I'm like putting top coat on my nails right now. I've always been the type to be a lot more comfortable around like closer friends, like one or two, you know, like having a small one or two friends rather than like being in a friend group, you know what I mean? Which I know there's kind of like two types of people. There's people that prefer like one-on-one hangouts, and there's people that prefer being in a large group. And I still wouldn't say I'm a large group type of person, because in large groups I tend to like feel overpowered by the conversation. So I'm very not likely at all to like say anything, you know, I'll kind of just stand there and listen, which I enjoy listening. And I think that's also something that we can get into later, is that like, well, we can get into it now, you know? The concept of if you're the quiet person, like, oh my gosh, something that I really hate is as the quiet person, or as being the quiet person in the past, as I have been the quiet person in the past. I can't even speak English, guys, sorry. But like, if you're being really quiet, people being like, are you okay? Like, maybe there's a big group of people having a conversation and you're kind of just sitting there and you are really enjoying listening to this conversation. Like, I'm fully entertained. Like I could stay here all day. And then there will just be that one person that comes up to you and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, what the heck? When did this happened recently? When did this happen recently? I was with like a friend and someone kept asking me if I was okay. And I was like, yeah. Eventually I just said something and I was like, yeah, I'm okay. Like I'm so frustrated whenever I'm just being in my natural state of like not talking that much and someone thinks there's something wrong. Like, I feel like society is so extroverted in general. Like, the extroverts overpower the introverts, or the loud people overpower the quiet people, to where when you are just zen in your normal state, people will be like, are you okay? Like, I had a friend the other day, I was in like a small group of people, that like new people that I'd met, and this one person was like, you just look like you want to go home. And I was like, no, like, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I just, like, I'm so into this conversation that I've completely invested myself into it, and I'm just like enamored and letting it shower over me. So anyways, that's like a big pet peeve of mine as a quiet person. We can make a whole episode about this, like pet peeves being the quiet person growing up. So anyways, growing up, I'd always felt, and growing up, I literally mean up until like college. Like, I would say it wasn't even till like halfway through college that I got way more confident and like put myself out there more, as this episode is about. So being the quiet person, it's almost like when you are the quiet person, everyone feels the need to point it out. Everyone's like, oh, you're quiet. Like, oh, why are you so quiet? Are you okay? You know, as we just talked about. So it's almost like everybody notices that you're the quiet person. And so I would get constant I don't know if validation is the right word, but constant reminders that I was the quiet person. So like every day, if I'm in a conversation with a group of people, they're like, oh, you're quiet. So you know, by the time I got to like second grade, I was like, I am the quiet person. Like, hello, this is me. Like, that was the main identifying factor of like who I was, you know? I was like, who am I if I'm not the quiet person? So with that in mind, I knew that I would never be able to change from that because that was like at the core of my identity. You know what I mean? So throughout my childhood, there were certain scenarios where I'd be in groups of people and I'd always feel really uncomfortable because I just feel like because I didn't have that much to say in conversations or in group settings, everyone kind of overlooked me. Like I could be there or I could not be there and nobody would care. Like nobody would notice if I was not there. Yet they still need to point out that you're quiet. You know what I mean? I keep saying you know what I mean. I'm going to try to stop. So, for example, like summer camps or just like a big one for me was dance lessons. I did dance until like middle school. Like I stopped middle school. And another issue with dance was that I was doing it for a while and then I quit for a few years and then I rejoined. And when I rejoined, I was put in a group of girls that were like 2 grade levels below me because I basically paused dance. Like I had to start where I left off basically, which was really annoying because I didn't get to be in the classes with like one of my best friends who also did dance at the same studio. And also just being the older one, I think I was also like one of the tallest ones because I was just like 2 years older. I just felt very like out of place. I think that's the one time I have experienced feeling out of place for my height. Like that's so funny now that I think about that. Now I know how tall people feel sometimes. But basically I like didn't make any friends in dance and like it was always such an awkward experience every week to go to because I don't know, I just constantly felt like awkward and on edge. And that definitely, I wonder if that even like sparked social anxiety for me. Like, I feel like dance was one of the only places where I was with people that I wasn't normally with because I went to like a very small private school. So at school, I was still quiet, but I almost like knew everybody. Everybody at school kind of felt like siblings because I was with them all the time for all the years, like since kindergarten. So it was more like I felt more comfortable at school, I think. Whereas at dance, it was like all these people that I did not know. And I was like, they're already friends with each other. Like, how can I make friends with them if they're already friends with each other? That's like a big problem always throughout my life. But in elementary school and middle school, I do remember, like, I also didn't really want to play at recess. Like, I honestly didn't really like recess because it meant that I had to socialize, which is so funny. Now, I'm just, like, now realizing this. Like, I think that's why I was always kind of like, I don't really like recess. And I thought I was, like, so, like, not like other girls for not liking recess. But now I'm realizing it's because I had social anxiety. But me and my friend Bridget would always like go off in the corner somewhere and just talk for 30 minutes, which was cool because like what the heck did we talk about for 30 minutes every day? Like that is a lot of one-on-one time. That's so interesting to think about, but we always somehow made it work. So yes, like being the quiet person throughout my life, as some of you can probably relate to, was strange. And then a few things changed. So in high school, I was also very quiet still, but I slowly like gained a few more friends that I had a small friend group in high school. But then in my classes, I felt like I was in these like classes with a select amount of people for this program that I was in for digital media. And I still always felt like I was the one that nobody really like I felt like everyone else was friends and would like hang out with each other outside of class, but I was never part of that, which is like fine because I had other friends, but I don't know. I also joined this, of course, it always happens like this. I joined this program a little bit late, so everybody had also already made friends with each other until I joined. But then like I was friends with all the girls. Like we had only a few girls in those classes, and I was friends with like a few of them. And one of my best friend from high school that I still keep in touch with was one of those people. So anyways, I just felt not really part of the social circle though, as I have always felt a lot throughout life. Also in sophomore year of college, so going into college, I think it's like every year I like leveled up a little bit in like ability to be social and not have social anxiety. So summer after freshman year of college, I worked at a summer camp, the one that I've like grown up in going to my whole life. And I still felt a little bit like left out. And I partly made that decision myself because I would go home a lot during the weekends instead of staying over the weekends while there's just like reset time or like hangout time. So I slightly made that decision to like distance myself, which was probably not smart if I wanted to like become close with everyone, but I don't know. Throughout my whole life, I've just always been in these circles where like everybody's like super close and then I feel like I can't interact the same way. But this like definitely changed a lot over the past literally just like 2 years for me. Like literally in the past 2.5 years, it's changed. So that's kind of what I want to talk about now. We can like transition into what changed. First off, I will say a lot of this change in my social anxiety took place at the exact same time that I started taking anxiety meds, which I'm not like prescribing anything to you guys, but if you feel like you have really bad social anxiety, like maybe you could get that checked out and see, like, you know, because I'm on like the lowest dose, but I can definitely see like a big change. All that aside, most of this I don't think has to do with the anxiety meds, so you know, I'm not gonna like base anything off of that. So at this summer camp that I worked at, this was before sophomore year of college, one of the leaders, I think we had some sort of like thing where we had to share with each other like a special trait about another person. It was like one-on-one things where you kind of have a deep, intimate conversation about each other and like your skills and your strengths and stuff. And so one of our leaders that I've kind of known throughout my whole life, she told me that I had quiet confidence, which was a phrase I'd never heard before, but I now have heard it a bit more since hearing that. But that just like resonated with me so much because I always thought that like I couldn't be confident because I was quiet, but she said that I had quiet confidence, and I was like, wait, I didn't know those two things could exist in the same space. So ever since then, I've been like almost more confident about being quiet because I can be confident while simultaneously being quiet. You know what I mean? That's just something that I kind of go back to a lot and think about a lot. Now I'm starting to wonder, okay, like, am I an introvert or an extrovert? Because in college, I spent a lot, like freshman year especially, on my hall, I spent a lot of time hanging out with people, my suite mates and one of our friends down the hall. So I started to be like, wait, why am I feeling kind of like very social and I'm enjoying hanging out with people, you know? And I had never really enjoyed hanging out with people except for like my super close friends, Carolina and Enzo, of course. I forgot that Enzo is like part of this. LOL. Carolina, Enzo, and my brother. That was the only place I feel like I could be truly like silly and like loud and annoying. Because we're basically like siblings. Also a few of my other friends like that I've had throughout my life. But in college, I started to feel like, okay, I can like actually act like this all the time around anyone, you know, like I can just be myself, which was cool. And I personally now think I'm an ambivert. Me and Enzo actually had a podcast. I listened to it the other day. I listened to it the other day to make sure that like I wasn't repeating myself too much, but episode 58, if you want to go back in time, listen to that. It's about introverts versus extroverts and like what that's all about. Like, are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? But we said something really interesting about extroverts get energy from the external world and introverts get energy from the internal world. Like, there's a difference between being quiet and loud or introverted or extroverted. Like, a loud person who's very energetic can be introverted. It's like about where you get your energy. And like, I don't know, like I kind of feel like I am a quiet extrovert because I genuinely feel like I get more energy from being around people. Like when I'm around people, I can come home and be like, okay, let me do this and this and this. Like, I'm so excited for all these things I have to do. Whereas when I'm by myself for too long, I literally am like, I have no energy. I need to like get out and like talk to someone. So that's a very strange revelation that I'm still trying to explore. Like, am I actually an extrovert? That's so weird. Like, my old self, my younger self is like so confused by that. So figuring that out. Okay, so when it really all changed was when I went to study abroad. I'm one of those annoying people that won't shut up about study abroad and like study abroad changed my life, blah, blah, blah. But like it actually did. So like I just feel like such a different person right now than the person I was before study abroad, which is so funny. But like it's true and like it makes sense. It's not like annoying and cringy. It's true because like it's a really big experience for you to like learn more about who you are because you're taken out of your environment and like everything that you know. It's kind of like moving to college, but in a very different way. So when I went to study abroad, I went to Lacoste, France, which is in south of France, and SCAD has a campus there. And I went in the spring of 2024. And so SCAD does it by major. So you're supposed to go with your major and be put in like classes and stuff with your major. But I just really wanted to go in the spring, and graphic design went in the winter. And I was like, I hate winter. Like you can't see me in south of France in the winter, please. I want to go in the spring. So I was on the wait list. Thank goodness got taken off. Like I don't know where I'd be at in life right now if I had not been taken off the wait list for spring study abroad. Like that's crazy. I don't even want to think about it. Wow, I have like goosebumps. Literally, guys, the butterfly effect is so real. So, but there's like the problem, which is I got into study abroad in the spring, but I don't know anyone that's going. Like, because I'm not going with my major, I don't know anyone that's going, and so I'm gonna have to make like all new friends. And also like most of my close friends from college at this point were from different majors, but not ones that went at the same time as me. Actually, yes, a few of them were, but they didn't go to study abroad. Anyways, so before I got to France, I actually discovered one other girl who's graphic design that I was more acquaintances with. We decided to be roommates, and then a few other acquaintances. But when I got there, I kind of like ran into the acquaintances, and that's the cool thing about being in a place where you don't know anyone, is that the acquaintances suddenly become like your best friends. It's like, I know I've only said hi to you once, but like now like we're best friends. Like we're like attached until we meet new people, which is kind of cool. So I made friends with a few of my acquaintances, and they introduced me to their roommates, and then we ended up having this like whole group of people who became like some of my best friends ever. And I love them. We're actually going on a mountain trip in October, which I'm so excited for. Like they're just the best. And becoming friends with them and being at the time in my life that I was at, it was almost like, when you, for example, if you go to high school for the first time as a freshman, it's like your first day of high school. You're kind of like, I can be whoever I want to be and nobody's going to know any different. Like, nobody's going to be like, why are you acting different? Like, that's not you. If you're in a place where there's totally new people, nobody knows who you are. So you can, like, be yourself, actually. I think that is a big problem I've had throughout my life. Is, like, for so long, I had always been around the same people. And I felt like I couldn't actually be myself because they had a perception of who I was. And I couldn't change because then they'd be like, why are you changing your personality? So being with these new people, I could actually be myself. Like, I could be however I wanted to be because they didn't know who I was before, which was honestly really cool. And like, that's crazy that happened. And because of that, like in study abroad, like I felt also just the independence and the ability to, like, we went on a weekend trip like every week to different cities, and just the independence of like, I'm an adult now and like we're in Paris, like navigating Paris by ourselves. It's just such an amazing thing, and I will never get over that. So anyways, I started to just be like, what if like everything I just did was for the plot, like what if I just like everything was just YOLO. And 2024 was a very big year for me. And I did have some very big YOLO experiences that I don't even know how deep I want to get into this, but like 2024 was the year like I went on a date for the first time. I like actually felt like I could not start dating, but like at least start thinking about that world, because I hadn't really felt like not that I wasn't ready, but I don't think I felt like confident in myself enough. Whereas now I'm like, I'm so cool. Like I can show like other people will think I'm cool too if I actually can put myself out there, right? Because that's what the episode was about, putting yourself out there. So I did in fact put myself out there, and that led to like a date, which led to a crazy situationship that we're just not going to talk about. That's gonna have to come along. That's an episode for another time, guys. But also 2024 after study abroad was the year that I went to LA for the summer. I lived in LA for the summer with my friend Maggie, and that was just amazing because it was also just living a whole nother life. Like I got to like basically cosplay as someone that lived in LA, which was so cool because now I'm like, wait, I actually could be someone that lives in LA. Like that's so cool. And I just feel like I got cooler in 2024, like because of study abroad, because of LA. And not in like an egotistical way, not in like a cocky way of like I got cooler. It's more of just in a like I experienced so many things that I was just like loving life, and I was getting so much inspiration. I felt very inspired, and that led to me like putting more effort into like my clothing choices, like getting more creative with what I wore, like how I did my hair, whatever, like becoming more aware of how people perceived me, but not in like a self-conscious way, in like a like how do I want to present myself to the world to express my personality way, if that makes sense. So yeah, many things I did were just for the plot. Like literally, I think one of the main ways to really put yourself out there is first to like become confident in yourself and know that you're like cool, because confidence is about knowing that you are like your own person, I guess. If you need any help like rebranding yourself per se, me and Enzo do have an episode about rebranding yourself, which was super fun. It's just like, sometimes you might need a little rebrand. And like how I did when I went to study abroad, nobody knew me, so I was allowed to like rebrand myself. I could wear like a cool red coat and everyone would be like, that's so you, even though like yourself in high school would never wear something like that. Start to YOLO it. As I've said, do things for the plot. Most of the things that you do for the plot will make the plot very enjoyable, very interesting. Things might go wrong, but like, I feel like if you're in the headspace of like nothing's gonna go wrong, it's fine. Like, it's like you miss 100% of the chances that you don't take, I wanted to bring up this TikTok that I saw recently, or Instagram reel, who the heck knows anymore, of this person was like, if you're ever like in a slump with yourself, pretend, like imagine that you are like yourself as like an 80 or 90-year-old and you're looking back and you're like, wow, I wish I could experience living a day in my like 20-year-old body, or however old you are. And so it's like, treat that day as, wow, I get 24 hours to live as myself in my 20-year-old body. What am I going to do? Like, I'm going to have the best day ever. So like, I feel like you should also treat every day like that in order to be willing to take more risks. And like, you can literally just pretend like your life is an episode of a TV show for the day. Like think like if today were to be a TV show, what would the title be? Like a sitcom type vibe. Yeah, also just like small talk. Like, I feel like I've become kind of a pro at small talk because I just always seem to be in situations where I have to have small talk. But like, I feel like I've gotten a lot better at small talk of just being like, saying whatever. Like, I'm still not the person that in a large group of people I'll just say whatever is coming to my mind, because there are people like that, and the more energetic extroverted people are the people who will just in a conversation say whatever the heck they're thinking, whereas people like me who are more introspective, I'm an introspective extrovert. Yeah, that's what I am. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Okay. I'm going to filter everything that comes to my mind before I say it out loud. Like, there are some people who just say things without thinking, and that's not even in a bad way sometimes. Sometimes you're just like, start telling a story for the heck of it, whereas I'm sitting there like, I want to tell this story, but like, blah, blah, blah. Like, is it right for this exact moment? And then the moment passes, and then I can't tell a story. So with small talk, I feel like you can take more control of the situation and literally just take it wherever you want, or just have like your go-to things to talk about, like even like on dates or something. Like, and I'm not an expert, guys. Like, me and Enzo have done an episode before about being the single friend, and like I have been on like two first dates in my entire life. So like, don't think I'm an expert or anything like that, but just like having topics inside of dating or outside of dating that you really like to go to. Like, what are your favorite TV shows to watch as a kid, like that you watched as a kid? That's one of my favorite things to talk about because I get so passionate about it. Like, literally, if you ask questions about things that you're passionate about, then you can go on a whole long tangent, because I'll be like, but have you ever seen Imagination Movers? And they're like, what the heck is Imagination Movers? And I'm like, why has no one seen Imagination Movers? It's like the best show ever. It's like a kids show where they're in a rock band, but they live in a warehouse, and the warehouse has infinite rooms. And whenever there's a problem, you can just go to a different room in the warehouse, sing a song, and the problem's solved. Like, that show is so good. Also, Curious George. Yes, Curious George. Curious George live action. When is that going to happen? And I saw a rumor that David Cornsweet, whatever his name is going to play the man with the yellow hat. But that was just a full-on like cast, fan cast. Like, that's not actually happening, but like, could we make it happen? Let's talk about it. Sorry, guys. I think this yerba mate is getting to me. But anyways, all that to say, I think people find you more interesting when you just talk about what you're passionate about and talk about like randomly specific things, like what I just said. Like, I didn't have to bring up the Curious George live action thing, but like the podcast would have been less interesting if I hadn't talked about that and been more generic about it. So I think also just finding yourself as an interesting person. Like, I kind of like to listen to myself talk. Like, I do have a podcast, so I guess that's a good thing. But like, I've just always, I've always as a kid, I always wanted to be a YouTuber. Like, and then I've had a YouTube channel for a while that's have been so inconsistent with, but telepathy is very consistent, so that's a great thing. But like, I guess liking yourself enough to where you are okay with hearing yourself talk can get you more able to just talk about random stuff, because it all comes down to like, people will notice you more and you'll put yourself out there more when you can talk about what you're interested in or like be interesting to other people. One other thing is to do lots of things by yourself, because I feel like that's actually how you become very comfortable with yourself, is doing things by yourself. Like, go to movies by yourself. I've been to so many movies by myself. In fact, I'm going to a movie by myself tonight. Go to like the park by yourself, go on a walk. Get used to like being perceived, and that's like okay, because, and also just realizing that people are going to perceive you, but like, they don't care. Like, like later today, like right after I record this episode, I think I'm going to go to the park and take a little walk and then like put out a blanket and read. How many people, I'm probably going to be thinking the whole time like, oh my gosh, everybody's looking at me. Like, everybody's looking at like, oh, she doesn't know where to put her picnic blanket. Like, why is she walking alone? But like, who the heck is actually going to think that, And that's why just once you put yourself out there, it's just so much easier, because you realize that like nobody cares. Like, everybody's more focused on themselves. Nobody's going to be thinking like, oh, that person is at the park taking a walk around the lake. That's so crazy. Like, what's the logic in that reasoning? Looking at my notes, I think that's really all that I have to say. So like, in conclusion, I don't know, it's definitely like a journey for everyone. Like, it's taken me 23 years to get to this point of being like actually confident in myself and having put myself out there and feeling like, I mean, if we're talking like current day, like today BC, no, today AD. Anyways, I am like 2 months into having moved to Charlotte. I have actually, like, genuinely, when I moved here, I was like, I'm going to be so bored for the first like half of the year, because I'm not going to have any friends. I'm not going to know what to do. But I've actually like made so many friends already. One, I've taken the initiative to hang out with friends that are like acquaintances or just here for the summer. For example, like, I have a friend that she was more of an acquaintance before coming to Charlotte, but she goes to SCAD, and I took the initiative to ask her to hang out because I knew that she lived here. One of my brother's friends is here just for the summer, so I hung out with her. Just like trying to keep myself busy and knowing that like I enjoy meeting new people now and I enjoy hanging out with new people. I kind of was like touring, surveying churches for a little bit, and I found a church that I really like, and I like it because literally like after the service, a few people came up to me and introduced themselves to me, and so I've already met a few people my age, which has been awesome, and they're like really cool people. I like went on a date that wasn't supposed to be a date, or it kind of was, but it wasn't, and that's going really well. So like, I've been very busy with just like all of these new people that I've met, which is really awesome. And I'm glad that I have reached the putting myself out there confidence at this exact point in my life, because I feel like I've put myself on a really good foot I've put my best foot forward, whatever, in this new city. And like, I feel very connected already. And like, I already have friends and people that I really like. So that's great. Hopefully Enzo feels the same way in college. That's going to be a crazy new chapter, and I'm excited to see where telepathy goes. You know, obviously, we're going to be virtual for a very long time now, probably until like Thanksgiving or Christmas. But wishing Enzo the best in the first week of school, which will be next week. Everyone put out your best vibes and well wishes towards Enzo. Yeah, I'm super excited. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't bore you to death because, you know, it's telepathy with Anna Catherine and Enzo Antonio, not telepathy with Anna Catherine. So this was a strange thing to do, but I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week with the two of us, and it'll be fun. But until then, go catch up on those episodes. All those episodes I referenced in this one: introversion, extroversion, rebranding yourself, how to be the single friend, etc., etc. But yes, I'll see you guys next week. We'll see you guys next week with a new episode of Telepathy on Tuesday. For now, see you later.